All right, so let's deal with Dr. Umar's talking points here because they do hold some weight. But unless you don't want to talk about the lack of self accountability, because it's really not fair for black people who didn't go to jail, who did not sell dope, and who did not leave their family. Let's just play this clip so you can see what I'm talking about.
Should have graduated was HVAC. They stripped all of that, the skills that pay the bills. Sure. This was done on purpose to make the black man financially irrelevant to the black woman. To make the 1970s was all about making the black man financially irrelevant to the black woman. And then in the 1980s, they dropped the crack off. CIA, cocaine import agency. Now, black men, jobless after the 70s, you bring me crack. I got a decision.
Is this where the prison industrial complex kicks in?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm either going to smoke the crack and deal with the fact I can't take care of my family, or I'm going to sell the damn crack. That was the 80s. And then they hit us with HIV AIDS at the same time. So the 80s was biological warfare with the AIDS and chemical warfare with the crack, which set us up for the 1990s. Bill Clinton, crime bill. So first time in American history you can go to jail for the rest of your life without having committed a violent crime because you got caught in possession of drugs 3 times in a row. It was a Democratic president, Bill Clinton, who locked up more black men than any.
So let's look at this honesty here. Number one, the black man didn't have to leave the house in the 70s and leave our sisters without the provider. He chose to do that for whatever reason. And she had to get on the system for help. Number two, the black man should have created his own job instead of begging on the system. Number three, they did put the crack in the community, but you didn't have to sell it. That was a decision because everyone didn't sell crack. That was a participatory sport. Number four, the crime bill came because black American civilians who were honest, hard-working people were held hostage in their own community by black drug dealers and gangsters. So black civilians begged for help for years, and the Democrats finally helped, but the law that they put into effect was not perfect. So black men that participated in the dope game caught heavy time. I mean, New Jack City showed this element of black civilians during the crack era, before the crime bill, begging the police for help because they were being held hostage in their own communities, because their kids couldn't go outside. It was because drive-bys riddled the community. So they were happy when the crime bill was signed. It wasn't until later that black people realized that the crime bill was a little too harsh. You see, young black men are a menace to society. You remember the movie? Well, in 1993, Old Dog represented the super predator that Clinton spoke of. That black teenage male who were killing each other with no remorse in major cities of America. His character was 15. If you're from the hood, you gotta be honest. These do exist. Now, does it feel good to be called a predator in your own community? No. Now, in the show Snowfall, Leon comes to the reality that the decision to sell crack in his own community destroyed his community, but it was a choice. Now, lastly, dealing with Dr. Umar's stance on the black man leaving the family because he couldn't take care of his responsibilities financially due to not being hired. Well, racism did play a role, but even Malcolm said in the 60s, you must create your own jobs. If that's the case, instead of begging someone you feel does not like you to hire you.
The Japanese aren't asking for integration. The only minority in America that's asking for integration is the so-called Negro, primarily because he is inferior, not inherently inferior, but he's economically, socially, politically inferior, and this exists because he has never tried to stand on his own 2 feet and do something for himself. He has filled the role of a beggar. Chinese in this country aren't asking.
Now, the black conscious community has existed since the 1920s. But it was an underground movement of black conscious thought leaders and black school of thought who were teaching black knowledge that the black church did not teach. And even most black Americans did not have access to this knowledge because it was always supposed to be hidden and unseen from the masses. So how did one of the teachers from the early 2010s era get so seen? Well, gather around. Welcome to the Uncle Dre Show.
Welcome to the Uncle Dre Show.
Now, historically, the Black conscious movement has never been loved by the mainstream media, and they never were supposed to be. They were always seen as too radical and too Black, and also too anti-American. So most of the few conscious community leaders / teachers got so big that they got on the radar of the FBI and the CIA, and they got labeled a threat or communist, etc. And they began to be watched and under surveillance. And even at times, they were infiltrators. So becoming too popular in this community is usually unwanted attention. Now, the nation flew under the radar for decades. But when they got a young, charismatic leader like Malcolm X, they began to be put on the radar because Malcolm was loud and he was not afraid of the camera. And he was also scaring the world. Even some Black Americans was against his talking points because they were not used to the Black conscious community talking points going public, especially in the 60s. So Malcolm put the NOI on the public radar and they became a target and a threat. In 1959, The Nation is aired publicly in the masses on 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace. This episode highlighted to the world the Black conscious community that was hidden for decades. This is where the world first sees Malcolm. They learn a little bit about how Black conscious community thinks, how they eat, how they believe in separation, and more. This is a shock to some Black Americans and especially to white Americans who are afraid of this type of talk. But the unseen was becoming seen. You see, Malcolm becomes a celebrity, but he was never supposed to be that. He was supposed to be on the mission of healing the people without being seen by the masses. He starts liking the camera so much that he becomes a star instead of just being the teacher of the people. He's seen with Ali, a mega superstar, and Ali even joins the nation. So now this group is seen, but they are being watched because they are a threat. You see, Malcolm later is now so sad he does an interview dissing the president after the president was assassinated. And after Elijah told him not to speak on it, well, Malcolm couldn't help himself from talking to the public media. The need to be seen in a group that was always to remain unseen. This was a problem. He was exiled from the nation and later he was killed. Now, nobody knows who did it. Was it internal? Was it the higher ups? This has always been the debate. Now, some say MLK was an agent and he was working with the higher ups to go against the Black conscious community. In the uprising of this movement, he taught peace, he taught to turn the other cheek, and he was not about violence. He didn't want separation, he wanted inclusion. And later on, when he stopped playing the game and realized he was used, he started going more along with the Black conscious community's ideology. He became a threat too and he was killed and later given the holiday. Now later, the Black Panthers rose up and they are the opposite of the Black conscious groups that were religious because they carried weapons and they used them to rob Black drug dealers, they robbed Black gangsters, they robbed Black pimps, they even robbed banks, and they also would shoot at police if necessary. But they would give away free food to the community. They taught self-defense and gun training, and they taught Black brotherhood and Black sisterhood. And they also became a threat, especially when they became seen. And once they became seen, from bank robberies and cop deaths, breaking members out of prison, fleeing to Cuba, the whole group was dismantled by the higher ups. Many were locked away to this day, and many were gunned down by the police. Now, a couple years before Malcolm got put on the radar, Patrice Lumumba of the Congo became too seen with his Pan-African ideology, and he was taken out, but first infiltrated and put under surveillance. Now, the years went on, the Black conscious community thrived in what I call the golden era. So many great teachers created great lectures and provided great research and left great books behind. But they left it specifically for the conscious community, not just for anybody. They were not famous. They did small appearances here and there on mostly Black stations, but they had no desire to be seen by the public media. They just wanted to teach. And then you have the rise of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, by the late 1970s and early 1980s, the nation began to rise again, this time with almost more power, and they have a charming, good-looking, young, wise leader who is now being seen. If you love this Wealthy Child shirt and you want to get one for yourself, check out wealthychild.co, wealthychild.co. And also check out The Money in the Bag, which is a fun, rhythmic book that's really poetic and it rhymes. That's a kid's book that teaches about credit, life insurance, a whole bunch. Or check out Stories About Credit. You have a story about life insurance, also stories about real estate, and much more. Over 30 books that teaches kids and families about financial literacy, real estate, life insurance, credit, taxes, and much more. Check out wealthychild.co, wealthychild.co. Get you a shirt, get you a book, and let's get back to this episode. He is not afraid of the camera and the spotlight. In fact, he is doing lectures at Madison Square Garden and huge venues. Many teachers in the college community do not like this about him. They think he wants to be a star instead of just a teacher. So many of the other teachers begin to hate and bang on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They see him as just someone who is just in the college community just for the money and fame and needs to be seen with celebrities and more, instead of just sticking to the script and teaching the people who really want the knowledge and staying off the radar.
About our color, we make them millionaires, give them stretch limousines, and they spit on us.
That's right.
I'm saying that we have to reward true and honest leadership. I do not believe that any program for African people can afford to leave out Pan-Africanism.
So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan got more famous through media. As rap music grew, many of the artists at the time had influence from the Black conscious community, and they would put in their music that Minister Louis Farrakhan embraced rappers, unlike most of the conscious teachers at the time. And he started to become a meme for that era, also by being made fun of in skits like on the show In Living Color.
You like to buy some incense?
Bean pie, my brother.
I've come to warn your crew.
Warn your crew.
Of their enslavement.
Enslavement.
Aboard this vessel.
This made him more famous to the masses who never seen or heard of the conscious community. Because when you aren't seen, the masses, the 85ers, they can't even make fun of you because they don't see you. Even Minister Khalid becomes too visible. He is super radical in his views and he becomes a threat. And him and Minister Farrakhan parts ways, and Ice Cube steps away from him as well, allegedly according to him. And he's also shot in 1994, but he survived. From 1994 through the early 2000s, the Black conscious community keeps teaching with no desire to be famous or to become a star. They just want to teach the people who want the information. And not all Black people, but the Black people who are into the knowledge. They remain unseen. Now, before the YouTube era, it was the DVD era. And before the DVD era, it was the tape era. This was how the lectures and teachers were known in the conscious community. They recorded the lectures and then they sold them. But you had to be in the movement to even know it existed. But around 2009, 2010, the conscious movement, it begins to go into the digital YouTube era. Still unseen, but now more available to anybody who comes across it. So now in this YouTube era, another star is born out of this community in the digital age. But I remember the first time I seen this brother, and man was he sharp. He's one of the more charismatic, and he had a range on the school of thought. He was also humble, but he did not want to remain hidden as a teacher, and he loved the camera. He loved the money, he loved the fame, and he loved being in the company of celebrities and the beautiful women. He just loved it more than he loved teaching. And we all seen his fall from grace. Now, for all the good this man did, he also made the conscious community a joke for the first time by way of using teachers from different schools of thought to debate each other. It was innocent originally, but later it turned into a WWF. It became just about entertainment. It became about viewership instead of teaching the people, because it caused a division. Also, it was Lisa Left Eye that brought Dr. Sebi out of the unseen into the scene for the masses, not Nipsey. She documented her trip to his holistic village in Honduras and spoke of him and how he worked with celebrities before, and it was always unseen. But this time, he was visible, putting him on the radar. But in 2010, it's also a new face of consciousness that's quickly rising in the conscious community as one of the most charismatic. He's a Pan-African. He's a child psychologist. He has a great delivery. He is likable, and he is about to rise from the unseen to the seen.
And the problem with the black community is that we have been doing the wrong thing for so long that it's become normal.
All right now.
Are you listening?
Right.
Insanity is normal in the black community.
That's right.
How is it your child comes home from school for no books for a whole 30 days and you don't ask one question of the child or a teacher? That's insane.
Yes, sir.
But it's been happening so long in the hood, it's normal.
That's right.
What do you mean your daughter has been sexually molested by her big brother, her uncle, her father, and she's now pregnant by her grandfather? That is insane. That's right. But it goes on so much in the black community today, it's normal.
Now, Tariq Nasheed also helped bring the unseen into the scene. This is when he developed the Hidden Colors documentary. That was almost like a great intro level into the conscious community for many of the brothers and sisters who didn't even know it existed. It featured many of the conscious teachers, one of them being Dr. Umar. So from 2011 to 2016, many of our brothers and sisters were getting into the Black conscious movement as all of the police brutality is taking place against Black Americans. And one of the faces that blows up during this era is Dr. Umar. So let's take a look. Now, in the Black community, amongst the masses, they usually don't really care for positivity. They move off of negativity and drama. So even though Tupac was making great Black power songs, he didn't really become huge on everybody's radar until he got into constant controversy. So let's keep that element in mind. You see, the masses of Black American people do not like knowledge. They do not like lectures, and they do not like conscious rap. They don't like hearing about Black unity because they don't care. So many of the Black communities started making fun of the conscious community like they did with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the early 1990s because the unseen became seen. They started calling the conscious community hoteps. It was a way to make fun of Black people because most of them didn't even know what hoteps meant. That meant they were part of the masses. So yes, Dr. Umar is a great teacher, but he did not get known or seen by the masses for being a great teacher. They have never seen any full lectures by him or went to any. They know him for his social media controversy, his public beef with Sedai, which was drama, so they ate it up.
The RBG Black Consciousness Movement, nigga. Fuck a YouTube. Fuck a Facebook.
They know him for his beef with Tariq. That was also drama.
You paying white people to make a white supremacy documentary that you pay to Black folks, that you sell to Black folks. So that fundraiser benefits white supremacy. You fake ass hypocrite.
And we all know VH1 and many more had made billions selling Black Americans Black drama, so they ate this up too. They know him for this public spar, which was also drama, and it went viral, and it made him more and more famous, but not for the knowledge, but for the drama that the masses of Black people love. Again, nothing to do with the actual teaching. And he got so seen that he was even invited onto the Breakfast Club, where he was constantly asked about interracial marriages and more, which would provide shock value and viral clips for content. So now he is not just known as a conscious community teacher, he's now a star. And as a student of the conscious community when it was unseen, I always found it weird when I would see Brother Polite on channels like DJ Vlad, because I mean, Dr. Clark and others would never agree to something like this. The sacred knowledge was to be unseen by the masses, but it was happening. And Dr. Umar even sat down with DJ Vlad, a man that was disrespecting Dr. Sebi, had no love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You don't find that odd? You see, Charleston White and Dr. Umar is guaranteed contact clicks because they're both funny.
Anti-snow bunny hopping bill into Congress. No Negro is allowed to date, live with, sleep with, reproduce, cohabitate, engage, or marry with a non-African woman. We can help.
To the point that a fake Dr. Umar's page is full of what? Get this, not his lectures, but just his viral moments of comedy. And this is why many of the masses have asked for him to debate Charleston White. It's because they see Dr. Umar as a comedian like Charleston White, and they want to be entertained with drama and clicks with viral moments. They don't understand that he is actually a teacher, a great one at that was never supposed to be seen. Now, more social media viral moments keep Dr. Umar popular, but not as a teacher, as a character, as a mascot, as walking content. But let's be clear, Dr. Umar is loved in the conscious community, and he is big amongst the women, and he always has been, even before he became seen by the masses and became known as a star instead of a teacher. Some say he's a race hustler, and some say he's the real deal. You decide. But I've always rocked with the teacher Dr. Umar more than the social media character long before he became seen. So as a longtime student of the conscious community myself, I don't like to see Dr. Umar on channels like Joe Budden or DJ Vlad and etc. because I know that those audience are not here to learn. They're coming here for entertainment and viral moments. They will bring on a known Pan-African and act shocked when the Pan-African is against interracial marriage and against Eminem being the GOAT and more. But it's all for clicks. And this is why the teachers from the conscious community and the knowledge in the conscious community was never supposed to be seen by the masses. You know, Nipsey fell in love with the knowledge and he started speaking on a holistic doctor. He wanted to do a big documentary on his teachings, and he wanted to bring his name to the masses and make the unseen seen. But unfortunately, he was gunned down before it could happen. Ironically, when Lisa Left Eye Lopez was trying to bring to light Dr. Sebi's teachings, she transitioned. And soon after, Nick Cannon vowed to take over the documentary for Nip. You know, I always used to wonder why Malcolm X used to talk to the white media so much to begin with in the 1960s. Now, I understood what Martin Luther King did because, well, he wanted inclusion, but Malcolm didn't. So what was the point? But anyway, the conscious community teachings were always supposed to be sacred and only for the people that really wanted the information, not the masses. You see, when the hidden becomes visible, it just seems like nothing good ever comes from it. You see, when knowledge becomes seen, the masses take it and they make a mockery of it. They call it hoteps and they laughed at our teachers. And Dr. Umar actually became a meme and just viral content for the masses to laugh at. No one really actually wanted his actual lectures, but it was never for them to understand. That's why you deal with the people who want it, not the people who want to slander it and remain a part of the masses.
You want to get a good ass whipping? Go to a damn nigga that don't want to hear that shit. You be the fool. All these books, you fit this motherfuckers will tear your ass up. Am I lying? Well, you got a nigga that don't want to hear that shit. Yeah, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna teach them people. It ain't about teaching them damn niggas nothing. You go there and y'all get in an argument and you be the damn fool. It's like talking to this tree. Them niggas might start singing to your ass. Ha la lee lee, ha ha, yeah yeah. You with all your scholarly shit. You know what's supposed to be? They not the litmus test. It is not to teach them nothing. You gotta make the decision. It ain't about no fucking goddamn preacher. You see what I'm saying? It ain't about the preacher. It ain't about nobody now to get out of this shit but the gods that came back to do this. We doing this shit. We getting ready to put the scunion to the ass, but you can't deal with this stuff by taking your family as being the litmus test of how you damn do this thing. Your family ain't got shit to do with this. And quit going home trying to teach them something. If you give it to them and they don't respond, fuck it. Turn on the goddamn TV.
The masses of black people are caught up in drama, street life, sex, drugs, TV, consumerism, comedy, foreign clubs, and more. They have no care for the advancement of the people. They don't care for knowledge. And when you try to give them knowledge, they attempt to make you a joke.
Black people ain't on shit. But getting their ass whipped and going to jail and whatever damn thing. We are on the rise. The conscious community and the ones that we talk about always think that this thing is growing because we are wrapped into a conscious community, but all you gotta do is look at your goddamn family member and know that's some bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? Your close friends and know that them niggas ain't is dead as hell and know that we're only talking about us. So this is the only people we have to deal with right now. It has nothing to do with...
So most of the teachers historically wanted to remain hidden and just teach the people in the conscious community without the fame. But some of the teachers fell in love with the camera and they had enough charisma to become famous. And in Dr. Umar's case, well, he's just a great unseen teacher that became seen in the digital era, mostly due to Black Americans who were not conscious to begin with, just making fun of him on social media for his anti-interracial dating talking points, which actually made him more and more popular. So with that being said, I personally think it was a great interview. So do be sure to check out the full interview on Joe Budden's page. And with that being said, this information was not free. All that we ask is that you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. And also, be sure to check out one of these other videos.